everyone, I'm Jennifer and this is TV Talk. It is Tuesday and that means it's Star Wars Day. And this week's episode was the third installment of the Malevolence arc, which was entitled Destroy Malevolence. After the events of last week's episode, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Ahsoka, Plo Koon, and their clone troopers have General Grievous, his battle droids, and the Malevolence on the run. However, in a shrewd play by Darth Sidious, Padme and C-3PO unexpectedly appear in the middle of the battle under the ruse of being on a diplomatic mission to negotiate a treaty with the banking clan, and are taken prisoner by General Grievous in the hopes of using them to ensure that he will have the time he needs to not only repair his ship but escape. And knowing him, most likely also use Padme as a bargaining chip against the Republic. Now, with his secret wife in danger, Anakin immediately jumps into action to rescue her, and Obi-Wan goes along as well to keep Anakin from causing too much trouble. They manage to get on board the Malevolence, but also manage to get separated when they attempt to meet up with Padme and C-3PO at a rail transport area within the Malevolence, and Anakin and Padme end up on one train car, Obi-Wan ends up on another, and C-3PO ends up on yet a third. Now, while trying to find her way to Anakin and Obi-Wan, Padme overhears that the Malevolence hyperdrive is close to being fixed, and they have to find a way to stop that, or at least prevent the Malevolence from escaping. They also need to find a way to get off the ship before they're all captured. This episode was actually really interesting, as it was the final arc of the Malevolence three-part episode. I do consider it a three-part episode, as all three episodes kind of flowed together. This is also the first time we see Padme in the series. And while she is played by Natalie Portman in the prequels, she is not voiced by Natalie Portman in the series. She's actually voiced by Catherine Tabor, I believe is how you say her last name. This is also the first time we see C-3PO in the series, and he's voiced by Anthony Daniels, who I believe, I'd have to actually look back, but I believe he also played C-3PO, or did his voice in the prequels. The original shows, I'm not 100% sure of. I'd have to actually double check on that. And so this is the first time we actually see them in the series. This is also the first mission since the Clone Wars movie that we see Anakin undertaking that he doesn't take Ahsoka on with him. He actually leaves her behind on the command ship with Master Plo. Presumably because the main reason was that Padme was involved in this, and he didn't want Ahsoka to uncover their secret or whatnot. Possible reason. Maybe they just felt it would be too dangerous to bring her along on this mission. I don't know. They don't really say why they leave her behind. She is left behind on the ship with Master Plo and the rest of the clones. On the whole, I did like this episode. Like I said, it introduces the fans of the Clone Wars series to Padme's character within the series, not so much within the whole franchise, but within the series. Because again, this is the very first episode we see her in. Again, very first episode we see 3PO in as well, and 3PO, he's 3PO. He's no different in the series than he is from the prequels or the original trilogy. So, you know, he's just like R2 is no different in the series than he was in the prequels and the original trilogy. So, droids don't change all that much. I guess it's an interesting episode as they do focus a little bit on Padme and Anakin's relationship. Not a lot, but just a little. I mean, but for those of us who know that they are married, you can kind of see that a little bit there. And again, like in last week's episode, where kind of the banter between Anakin and Ahsoka was something I really liked about the episode. I did like the banter between Obi-Wan and Anakin in this episode. So you really see them kind of playing off each other a lot more within the series than you actually did in the movies. Of course, there's more space within the series for them to do that. One of my, like, there was this one scene in there when they just get on board the Malevolence, and the battle droids, just because they dock in an emergency airlock, and one of the battle droids says that it sounded like it was at the emergency airlock, and another one says someone would have to be crazy to dock there, and then they cut to inside the emergency airlock, and Obi-Wan says, "Anakin, you're crazy. Spinning is not flying." And then Anakin says, "But it's a cool trick." And it's just like, just that exchange between them is fine. And there's a lot of other, like, just funny, like, maybe not intended to be funny, but turned out to be funny scenes within the series like that. Yeah, between Anakin and Obi-Wan and Anakin and Ahsoka, because the series does focus mainly on them. It does move to other characters, but it does seem to be mostly on them. It's interesting episode. We will not be seeing the Malevolence again, as it is destroyed by the title, if you couldn't guess by the title of the episode. But it is interesting. We also see how General Grievous, excuse me, I was getting my characters mixed up there for a little bit, how he sees himself within this thing, like, within, as a general, as opposed to how he sees the Jedi as generals, where when Anakin or Obi-Wan makes a mistake, they kind of own up to it. And I'm just using them as an example among the Jedi, where Grievous made a mistake, and in this episode, and when Count Dooku called him to see if he was going to be arriving with the Malevolence, rather than tell him the Malevolence was destroyed, he just cuts off communication and flees. That is not something we really see the Jedi doing that much. Of course, Grievous is supposed to be the bad guy, so, you know, he's going to be portrayed very differently from the Jedi. But again, you see that contrast, and for those of us who know the franchise very well, we know that the Separatists and the Republic really are being played against each other by Darth Sidious, aka Chancellor Palpatine, in a bid for him to get more power. So we are hopefully the fans are aware of that. Those who follow it, are aware of that. So that's about all I have to say on this episode. Now, if I got a little off topic, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. And I'm going to be ending it on, per usual, with a question that I'm going to pose to you. We all know that by the third episode, Revenge of the Sith, that Obi-Wan is well aware of Anakin and Padme's relationship. But do you think at this point in the timeline he is aware of it, or he is completely in the dark about it, or that he suspects that there's more going on between them than just a friendship? Please leave your answers in the comments, in the comment section. Also, feel free to comment on anything else you've seen in this. Post any other comments in this video. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tongue-tied here. And also feel free to like and subscribe. That really helps me out a lot. And feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. The information will be in the description. I'm Jennifer. Thank you for watching TV Talk, and I will see you again next time.